Yeah, y'all gonna stop coming in my live talking about this Victor dude, bro. We hooping this year. Y'all gonna see.
Alright team, the NBA world is gone crazy. Now we have seen Taylor Jenkins get fired, and after that I was like, okay, this is like an anomaly. There's no way something like this is gonna happen again this year or maybe even in the future. But that prediction has quickly been proven as incorrect, as we see Michael Malone gets fired 4 games before the postseason. Now this caught me completely off guard. After looking at the Taylor Jenkins firing, I could see why they moved on from him, but Michael Malone getting fired right here, man, this is just mind-blowing. And we are making a video over this today because, as you know, the Spurs may be in need of a coach if Popovich decides to retire. So before we get into all the details, just let me know y'all's initial thoughts. Would y'all be open to Michael Malone coaching the San Antonio Spurs? Also, would y'all prefer Michael Malone or Taylor Jenkins? Me personally, I don't really know right now. I'm on the fence with either. So let's just go ahead and get straight into it. After doing a little bit more of a deeper dive, it turns out Michael Malone and their GM, I forget his name, they actually have somewhat of a beef. They aren't working well together, so both of them got fired. As a matter of fact, let me see his name. Okay, so his name is Calvin Booth. Michael Malone and Calvin Booth are both out of here after hearing they have a rocky relationship. This was an ownership decision. They also said that they just were going to fire him at the end of the season, so why wait after the postseason? Because if they had a successful postseason run, they could have maybe decided that we could keep Michael Malone, but I think ultimately they just wanted to get rid of him and they didn't think he was the guy for the job. Which, I mean, I don't know if I agree with that, but that's just the way things went down. And a specific point that fans are pointing to is this right here. Shout out to Courtside Buzz. Malone called them out. Michael Malone called out his Denver Nuggets for not watching film and called them for not caring and not listening to his game plan while on a losing skid. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look to see exactly what he said, and then I'm going to give y'all my thoughts.
And have some pride. I didn't think we played with any pride tonight.
I feel like they took that.
I really care. It's not my job to evaluate how they take things. My job is to be honest, and sometimes brutally honest. And tonight, it was a brutally honest message. And the guys that are full of shit won't hear it. You know, they'll say coach is tripping. And the guys that maybe do really care will, because they're not going to go back and watch their minutes, because nobody watches their minutes. Nobody watches film. So we'll have to show them the film. And I said, if somebody disagrees with me, please speak up. And nobody said a word. So again, I'm not really concerned with how they took that message. My thing is being honest with how we just played. And the same thing that's been bothering us of late that I talked about pregame, the turnovers, the rebounding, was even worse tonight. And I didn't think it could get any worse, but it did.
I'm going to just say this was pretty harsh, you know, especially having a coach like Pop. I don't think he would have went this extreme, but he is a coach that would tell you, like, we were playing just straight up like dog. But I think he did go a little bit too far, just my opinion. Like, I don't mind him criticizing the players, but to call them full of ish and, like, let inside conversations out is kind of where you lose the locker room. And that's just going back to, like, the personnel of the team. You got to be a leader and you got to find ways to keep your team bought in while still trying to criticize them. And I think this was a little bit extreme. Like, you're not supposed to go out and say your team is full of ish and they're not watching film and stuff like that. I think that's more things you want to keep inside. But it does go back to the personnel and, like, the people you bring in to play for your team. I think if he was coaching a team like the Spurs, you wouldn't have this issue, because although they do make mistakes and they're a young team, they are looking to watch film. They're looking to try hard and practice hard. And so I don't think he would be in a position to call his team full of ish, because maybe they are, but those aren't things that you can just say out loud, especially when you're about to go into the playoffs and you need your team to be completely bought in. But I will say that I agree with the harsh criticism, because, you know, sometimes you got to keep it real. Like, there has been plenty of times where Pop came out and said this team has just played terrible tonight. But I think there's levels to it, and I think that if he had support from the GM and he had support from the organization as a whole, he wouldn't have had to do these things. So that just goes to, like, showing your organization's fit as a whole. Like, you gotta be all like-minded and you gotta have one common goal. And I don't think they backed up Michael Malone enough in this organization. So this isn't something that I'm overly concerned about. Like, if he were to come coach the Spurs, if anything, I would be happy about his heart harsh reactions to things. But I will say it again. I think that if he was a part of the Spurs, their personnel and the whole organization would be on the same page and he wouldn't have to crash out like you saw in this video. But speaking a little bit on the Spurs, shout out to Brett Siegel. Keep a close eye on Michael Malone being Greg Popovich's successor in San Antonio. This is something that popped in my mind right away, especially with seeing Taylor Jenkins and now Michael Malone. The Spurs are going to have a lot of options. And this is crazy because the one time the Spurs could possibly replace Popovich or Popovich could retire, you're seeing these coaches who are high-level coaches be open to coaching your team. I know that Michael Malone definitely has the Spurs in mind. Taylor Jenkins being from that tree, he's going to have the Spurs in mind. And so that really puts the ball in the Spurs court. Honestly, I might be a little biased, but if I was a coach, I would want to come to San Antonio. They just completed their rebuild. They have the skeleton of what could be like a really good team. They just need to put it all together. And you come in, you be the culture setter behind Greg Popovich, who's I'm sure he's going to go to the front office. He can help you kind of lead this team if that's what you want. And so I think it would be a great position for these head coaches that just got fired. Along with the Spurs being the Spurs. They're not just going to fire you after a season or two unless you're like horrible. Out of all the places in the NBA now to be a coach, San Antonio is probably the one place you would want to go to where you have somewhat of some job security. And what really stood out to me right here is this video. Shout out to Harrison Wynn. Greg Popovich gets tossed 63 seconds in tonight's game, then joins Michael Malone in his post-game presser. Now, I'm not entirely sure about the relationship, but I have heard things that say Greg Popovich is like a friend of Michael Malone. And we're going to go ahead and watch this video real quick because it's going to give you a glimpse into their relationship.
We were just talking about
Now, what
record that was
BS
set tonight.
What was the record? What happened?
Somebody got thrown out in 63 seconds.
Are you serious? that person must have, he must have hit somebody. Did somebody get hit tonight?
No, I don't
Or
think
did
so,
somebody
Coach
get
Bob.
cursed at or anything?
It's part of the game in my book.
Wow.
Anything else, guys? For Coach Bob?
I gotta go. Continue with Mikey.
All right. Good job, Mikey. Appreciate it, Coach.
Man, I miss Popovich, man, as I'm sure y'all do too. But this video kind of just showed like the mentorship from Popovich's standpoint. I'm sure he was a mentor to Michael Malone in some way, as Pop has been a mentor to everyone, myself included, and I don't even know him personally. But yeah, this would definitely add fuel to the fire, just seeing them hug and talk it out, do a little thing like this. This shows that Pop has a connection with Michael Malone, and so I'm sure if Pop were to retire, he would work with the Spurs to help bring someone over here. As you know, he was talking to CP3 this offseason, so I'm sure he has some recruiting skills. And that's why I would also love him in this front office. We can't just see Pop retire. Like, I'm sure he's going to be throughout the Spurs somewhere. But I'm sure he'll talk to Taylor Jenkins. I'm sure he'll talk to Michael Malone if he does decide to retire and help us bring in a head coach. And so this is nothing but good news for us. I mean, Michael Malone personally, I'm sure he's upset to be fired. But hey, come work with Wemby, man. Come mentor the next MVP, as you saw what he did to Jokic's career. And I think he could definitely help with this team. So y'all be sure to leave a like, comment as always, and subscribe. It's been your boy Chris, and I will catch y'all later. I am out.